You cannot give what you do not have. You cannot love another truly until you have discovered the wellspring of love within yourself. You cannot manifest a life of joy, abundance, and fulfillment if you are at war with the very being through whom all these things must flow. That being is you. The world has taught you to look outside yourself for validation, for love, for approval, for worth. From your earliest days, you were conditioned to believe that your value comes from others, that love is something to be earned, that you must prove yourself worthy of affection and care. This is the great lie that keeps humanity in bondage. This is the illusion that separates you from your power. But tonight, I invite you to see through this illusion. I invite you to recognize that the love you seek from others is but a pale reflection of the infinite love that dwells within you. You are not a beggar at the table of love, hoping for scraps of affection from those around you. You are the very source of love itself, the fountain from which all love flows. Consider this carefully. Every person you have ever loved, you love because it may make you feel about yourself. When someone loves you, what moves you is not their love alone, but the recognition of your own lovability reflected back to you through their eyes. When someone appreciates you, what touches you is not their appreciation, but the activation of your own self-appreciation. You are always experiencing yourself, even when it appears you are experiencing another. This is why the commandment to love your neighbor as yourself is so profound. It recognizes that you cannot truly love another beyond the degree to which you love yourself. Your capacity to give love, to receive love, to be loved in this world is determined entirely by your relationship with yourself. Now, when I speak of loving yourself more than anyone else, I do not mean that you should be selfish or inconsiderate of others. True self-love is not selfish. It is the most generous gift you can give to the world. When you love yourself truly, you become a channel for love to flow through you to all beings. When you withhold love from yourself, you dam up the very river that could nourish everyone in your world. Think of the sun for a moment. Does the sun apologize for shining? Does it dim its light so as not to outshine the other stars? Does it question whether it deserves to give warmth and life to the earth? No. The sun shines because that is its nature. It gives of itself freely, abundantly, without reservation, and in doing so, it makes all life possible. You, my friend, are like that sun. You are a center of consciousness, a point of divine light in the infinite cosmos of being. Your nature is to shine, to love, to create, to express the glory of existence through your unique being. But you have been taught to hide your light, to question your worth, to seek permission from others to be who you are. I tell you now, no one can give you permission to love yourself. No one can grant you the right to honor your own being. No one can bestow upon you the worthiness that is already yours by virtue of your existence. You are worthy of love, not because of what you do, not because of what you achieve, not because of how others respond to you, but because you are. Your being is not an accident. Your consciousness is not a random occurrence in a meaningless universe. You are the universe becoming aware of itself through the lens of your unique perspective. You are God experiencing creation through your eyes, feeling through your heart, thinking through your mind. How can such a being be anything less than infinitely precious, infinitely worthy of love? Yet I know that many of you struggle with this truth. You carry within you the voices of criticism, the wounds of rejection, the scars of judgment. You have been told you are not enough, not worthy, not deserving. These voices seem so real, so authoritative, that you have accepted them as truth. But I tell you now, these voices are not the voice of truth. They are the echoes of a sleeping world, the murmurings of those who have forgotten their own divinity. The voice of truth speaks differently. It speaks with the authority of love. It says, "You are my beloved." in whom I am well pleased. It says, before you were formed in the womb, I knew you. It says, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. This voice does not come from outside you, it is you. It is the voice of your true self, the voice of the divine consciousness that you are. To love yourself more than anyone else means to listen to this voice above all others. It means to trust your own inner knowing above the opinions of the world. It means to honor your own truth, even when others cannot see it or understand it. It means to be your own best friend, your own greatest supporter, your own most compassionate companion. But how does one begin this journey of self-love? How does one learn to see oneself through the eyes of love rather than the eyes of judgment? The answer lies in understanding the nature of your own consciousness and the power it contains. You are not your body, though you express through it. You are not your thoughts, though you think them. You are not your emotions, though you feel them. You are not your circumstances, though you experience them. You are the consciousness that is aware of all these things. You are the witness, the experiencer, the I am that gives reality to everything in your world. This I am that you are is not separate from the universal I am that creates and sustains all existence. There is only one consciousness, one life, one being in all the universe. And you are that being individualized as you. When Moses asked for the name of God, the answer came, I am that I am. This is your name too. This is who you are. You are the eternal I am expressing itself as your unique individuality. When you begin to identify with this truth, when you begin to see yourself as you really are rather than as the world has told you that you are, love naturally arises. For how can you not love that which is divine? How can you not cherish that which is sacred? How can you not honor that which is infinite and eternal? This is why self-love is not arrogance or pride in the worldly sense. True self-love is humility before the magnificence of what you are. It is awe at the mystery of consciousness expressing itself as your life. It is gratitude for the privilege of being a center through which the infinite experiences itself finitely. As you begin to love yourself in this way, something miraculous happens. The love you feel for yourself begins to transform everything in your world. For you see, the world you experience is not separate from you. It is the outpicturing of your consciousness, the external reflection of your inner states. When you love yourself, you naturally attract love from others. When you honor yourself, others feel compelled to honor you. When you treat yourself with kindness and respect, the universe mirrors this back to you through every person and circumstance you encounter. This is not magic, this is law. This is the fundamental principle by which consciousness creates reality. But remember, you do not love yourself in order to get love from others. You love yourself because love is what you are. The love that others give you in response is simply the confirmation of the truth you have already established within yourself. It is the echo of your own self-love reverberating back to you through the world of form. Many of you have experienced the frustration of seeking love from others while rejecting it in yourselves. You have tried to fill the void of self-rejection with the approval and affection of those around you, but it cannot be done. No amount of external love can compensate for the lack of self-love. The hole in your heart can only be filled from within by recognizing and claiming the love that you are. This is why relationships built on neediness and dependency ultimately fail. When you come to another as a beggar for love, you place an impossible burden upon them. You ask them to give you what you refuse to give yourself. You make them responsible for your happiness, your worth, your sense of completeness. But no human being can carry such a weight. Only you can love yourself as you need to be loved. When you learn to love yourself truly, your relationships are transformed. You no longer come to others from a place of lack, but from a place of abundance. You do not seek to get love, but to give it. You do not demand that others complete you because you know you are already whole. You enter into a relationship not because you need the other person, but because you choose to share the love that already overflows within you. This is the secret of happy relationships, two whole people choosing to love each other, not two halves trying to make a whole. This is the foundation of lasting partnership. Two individuals who have learned to love themselves coming together to create something beautiful, not two wounded souls trying to heal each other's pain. But self-love extends far beyond romantic relationships. It touches every aspect of your life, every choice you make, every thought you think, every word you speak. When you love yourself, you naturally make choices that honor your well-being. You eat foods that nourish you, engage in activities that fulfill you, surround yourself with people who appreciate you. You speak to yourself with kindness, treat your body with respect, honor your dreams and desires. When you love yourself, you also naturally set healthy boundaries. You do not allow others to treat you poorly because you know you deserve better. You do not say yes when you mean no because you respect your own time and energy. You do not tolerate abuse or disrespect because you understand your own worth. Love without boundaries is not love, it is enablement. True self-love includes the wisdom to protect and preserve what is precious. This does not mean becoming cold or uncaring toward others. It means loving from a place of strength rather than weakness, giving from abundance rather than depletion, caring from choice rather than compulsion. When you love yourself well, you have more love to give to others, not less. You become a blessing to those around you rather than a burden. I want you to understand something that may challenge everything you've been taught about love and spirituality. The highest spiritual practice is not to diminish yourself in service to others. The highest spiritual practice is not to deny your own needs and desires in favor of everyone else's. The highest spiritual practice is to recognize the divine being that you are, and to love that being with all your heart, mind, and soul. This is what it means to love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. For God is not separate from you, dwelling in some distant heaven. God is the very life and consciousness that you are. To love God is to love the divine presence expressing itself as you. To serve God is to honor the sacred being that you are. To worship God is to recognize the infinite worth and beauty of your own existence. From this foundation of self-love, all other love flows naturally and authentically. When you love the God within yourself, you spontaneously recognize and love the God within others. When you honor the divine in your own being, you cannot help but see and celebrate the divine in all beings. This is not a practice you must force. It is a natural expression of realized truth. But I know that for many of you, this teaching feels foreign, even wrong. You have been conditioned to believe that loving yourself is selfish, that putting yourself first is bad, that true spirituality requires self-sacrifice and self-denial. These beliefs have been used to keep you small, to keep you from recognizing and claiming your power. Let me be clear. There is nothing spiritual about making yourself small. There is nothing holy about denying your own worth. There is nothing virtuous about accepting less than you deserve. These are not spiritual teachings, they are tools of control, used by those who benefit from your diminishment. The truly spiritual person recognizes their own divine nature and lives from that recognition. The truly spiritual person loves themselves as God loves them, unconditionally and completely. The truly spiritual person claims their birthright of joy, abundance, and fulfillment without apology or shame. You were not born to struggle, to suffer, to settle for less than your heart desires. You were not created to be a victim of circumstances, a slave to others' opinions, a prisoner of your own self-judgment. You were born to express the glory of existence through your unique being, to create beauty and joy and love in this world, to live as the magnificent being that you are. But this requires courage. It requires courage to stand up to the voices that tell you to stay small. It requires courage to believe in your own worth when others doubt it. It requires courage to love yourself when the world tells you that you are not lovable. It requires courage to live as who you truly are rather than who others expect you to be. This courage is not something you must manufacture or find somewhere outside yourself. This courage is your natural state when you recognize who you are. When you know yourself as divine consciousness expressing itself in human form. When you understand that you are one with the creative power of the universe. When you realize that you are worthy of infinite love simply because you exist, courage arises naturally. Fear is what happens when you forget who you are. Love is what happens when you remember. Self-doubt is the result of identifying with the false self, the ego, the voice of limitation. Self-love is the natural state of the true self, the divine self, the unlimited being that you are. So how do you cultivate this love for yourself? How do you break free from the patterns of self-rejection and self-criticism that have held you in bondage? The answer lies in the power of your own imagination, in the ability to see yourself as you truly are rather than as you appear to be. Every night before you sleep, I want you to imagine yourself surrounded by infinite love. See yourself held in the arms of the divine, cherished beyond measure, valued beyond worth. Feel the warmth of unconditional acceptance flowing through every cell of your body. Hear the voice of love speaking to you, telling you how precious you are, how worthy you are, how perfectly you are made. Do not think of this as mere imagination or wishful thinking. This is reality. This is truth. You are surrounded by infinite love at every moment because you are infinite love expressing itself as your individual being. The love you imagine is not separate from you. It is you recognizing yourself as you truly are. During your waking hours, practice speaking to yourself as love would speak. When you make a mistake, do not condemn yourself, but gently correct your course. When you face a challenge, do not berate yourself, but encourage yourself as you would encourage a beloved friend. When you look in the mirror, do not focus on flaws, but look for the divine beauty that shines through your eyes. Replace the voice of criticism with the voice of compassion. Replace the words of judgment with words of understanding. Replace the energy of rejection with the energy of acceptance. This is not about denying areas where you can grow or improve. This is about approaching yourself with love rather than with violence. Watch your internal dialogue carefully, for this is where your reality is created. The conversations you have with yourself determine the quality of your experience more than any external circumstance. If you speak to yourself with love, respect, and encouragement, your life will reflect these qualities. If you speak to yourself with harshness, criticism, and disappointment, your world will mirror these states back to you. Remember, you are always listening to yourself, even when you are not conscious of it. Your subconscious mind hears every word you speak to yourself, both audibly and silently. It accepts these words as truth and works to make them reality in your experience. This is why it is so crucial to become conscious of the way you speak to yourself and to choose words that honor rather than diminish your being. Begin to celebrate yourself regularly. Acknowledge your achievements, however small they may seem. Appreciate your efforts even when they do not lead to the results you hope for. Honor your courage in facing each new day, your strength in overcoming challenges, your wisdom in learning from experience. You are doing better than you think you are. You are stronger than you know. You are more loved than you can imagine. Treat yourself with the same kindness and consideration you would show to someone you deeply love. If you would not speak harshly to your beloved, do not speak harshly to yourself. If you would not withhold care and comfort from your child, do not withhold these things from yourself. If you would not ignore the needs and desires of your dearest friend, do not ignore your own needs and desires. This is not selfishness, this is wisdom. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot give what you do not have. You cannot love others authentically if you do not love yourself genuinely. The love you give to yourself is not taken away from others. It is added to the sum total of love in the universe. As you practice loving yourself more deeply, you will notice that your entire experience of life begins to shift. Colors become more vivid, music more beautiful, simple pleasures more satisfying. This is because love is the lens through which beauty is perceived. When you love yourself, you are looking at life through the eyes of love, and everything becomes more radiant as a result. You will also notice that opportunities begin to appear in your life, as if the universe is conspiring to support your dreams and desires. This is not coincidence. This is consciousness at work. When you love and value yourself, you naturally magnetize experiences that match this inner state. When you believe you deserve good things naturally flow to you. People will begin to treat you differently as well. Some will be drawn to the new energy you emanate, inspired by the love and confidence you embody. Others may be challenged by your transformation, especially if they are still trapped in patterns of self-rejection. Do not let their discomfort diminish your light. Your job is not to make others comfortable with their limitations. Your job is to be who you are fully and authentically. There will be resistance to your journey of self-love, both from within and from without. The old patterns of thought and behavior will not surrender easily. The voices of criticism and doubt will fight to maintain their hold over you. People around you may try to pull you back into familiar patterns of self-diminishment. This is natural and expected. Do not be discouraged by this resistance. See it as confirmation that you are moving in the right direction. Change always creates turbulence before it creates transformation. The caterpillar must completely dissolve before it can emerge as a butterfly. Your old self, the self that sought love from others while rejecting it in yourself, must die so that your true self, the self that knows its own infinite worth, can be born. During times of resistance and challenge, return to the truth of who you are. Return to the knowledge that you are divine consciousness expressing itself in human form. Return to the understanding that you are worthy of infinite love simply because you exist. Return to the practice of speaking to yourself with kindness and treating yourself with care. Remember that loving yourself is not a destination but a journey, not a one-time achievement but a daily practice. There will be days when it feels natural and easy and days when it feels foreign and difficult. This is normal. Be patient with yourself as you would be patient with a child learning to walk. Celebrate the progress you make, however small, and be gentle with yourself when you stumble. The path of self-love is not always smooth, but it is always worth traveling. Every step you take toward greater self-acceptance, every moment you choose compassion over criticism, every time you honor your own needs and desires, you are not only transforming your own life, but contributing to the healing of the world. For when you love yourself, you give others permission to love themselves. When you honor your own divinity, you make it easier for others to recognize their own divine nature. When you live from a place of self-worth and self-respect, you model a way of being that inspires to treat themselves better as well. This is how the world is transformed, one person at a time, one heart at a time, one moment of self-love at a time. You may think that your individual journey of self-acceptance is small and insignificant, but I tell you that it ripples out into the universe in ways you cannot imagine. Every act of self-love raises the vibration of the collective consciousness. Every moment of self-acceptance adds to the sum total of love in existence. So I encourage you, dear friend, to make this commitment to yourself today. Commit to seeing yourself through the eyes of love rather than the eyes of judgment. Commit to speaking to yourself with kindness rather than with cruelty. Commit to honoring your own needs and desires rather than constantly sacrificing them for others. Commit to recognizing and celebrating the divine being that you are. This is not a small thing I am asking of you. This is perhaps the most important work you will ever do. For everything in your life flows from your relationship with yourself. Your health, your wealth, your relationships, your career, your happiness, your peace of mind. All of these are reflections of how you see and treat yourself. When you love yourself more than anyone else could ever love you, you do not become selfish or uncaring. You become a beacon of love in the world, a living example of what it means to honor the divine in human form. You become someone who loves so fully from within that you have an endless supply to share with others. This is the great secret that the mystics have always known. The kingdom of heaven is within you. The love you seek is within you. The worth you crave recognition of is within you. The acceptance you long for is within you. The peace you desire is within you. Everything you have ever wanted from another person you can give to yourself. And when you do, the whole universe opens up to support and celebrate you. The time has come for you to stop being your own worst enemy and start being your own best friend. The time has come for you to stop seeking from others what you refuse to give yourself and start recognizing the infinite source of love that you are. The time has come for you to love yourself more than anyone else, not because others are unworthy of love, but because you are the source from which all your love must flow. Tonight, as you leave this place and return to your daily life, I want you to remember these words. I want you to hear them echoing in your heart whenever you are tempted to be harsh with yourself, whenever you are inclined to seek validation from others, whenever you forget the magnificent being that you are. You are not an accident. You are not a mistake. You are not too much or too little or not enough. You are exactly who you are meant to be, expressing divine consciousness in your own unique and perfect way. You are worthy of infinite love, boundless joy, and unlimited abundance. You are deserving of respect, kindness, and care, especially from yourself. The greatest love story ever told is not between two people. It is between you and yourself. The greatest romance you will ever experience is your relationship with your own divine being. The greatest commitment you will ever make is the commitment to honor, cherish, and love yourself unconditionally and completely. Make that commitment now. Feel it in your heart. Know it in your mind. Live it in your daily experience. Love yourself more than anyone else could ever love you. And watch as your entire world transforms to match the love you have discovered within yourself. This is your birthright. This is your destiny. This is who you have always been, waiting to be recognized and claimed. You are love itself, expressing as the beautiful, unique, precious being that you are. Never forget this truth. Never settle for less than the full recognition and celebration of your own divine nature. Go now and love yourself as you have never loved before. The universe is waiting to reflect that love back to you in ways more wonderful than you have ever imagined. Your journey of self-love begins now, and it will continue for all eternity, growing deeper and more beautiful with each passing day.
Silence is not just the absence of words, it is a powerful tool that can shape outcomes and preserve relationships. We often associate communication with speech, but knowing when to hold your tongue is just as vital. Let's explore 5 critical situations in which remaining silent is the wisest course of action. When you're angry or emotional, it's easy to feel like the only way to release that pent-up energy is through immediate expression. It might feel as though your thoughts are racing, your pulse quickens, and you have an overwhelming urge to let out whatever is swirling in your mind. But here's the truth: words spoken in anger or intense emotion are rarely thoughtful, and often they leave behind scars that are much harder to heal than physical wounds. The power of silence in these moments is not about suppressing how you feel, it's about taking control of the moment and giving yourself the space to process what is truly going on beneath the surface. When anger strikes, it's not simply an emotional reaction. It triggers a physiological response in your body. Your brain floods your system with adrenaline, your muscles tense up, and your ability to think rationally diminishes. In those moments, you are no longer driven by careful, thoughtful consideration, but rather by raw, unchecked emotion. And while emotions are natural, they are not always reliable indicators of how you should act. They can cloud your judgment, causing you to react impulsively and in ways that might bring short-term relief but long-term regret. Imagine for a moment that you're in a heated argument with someone you care about, whether it's a family member, a close friend, or a partner. The conversation escalates, and before you know it, your heart is racing and your mind is focused solely on winning the argument or making your point heard. In that state, you might say things that cut deep, words that are hurtful and unnecessary. You may even win the argument, but at what cost? The pain inflicted in those moments of uncontrolled expression can last far beyond the heat of the argument itself. The person on the receiving end of those words might carry them long after the moment has passed, feeling wounded by the harshness of your reaction. Now imagine if, instead of reacting immediately, you chose to pause. In that brief pause, you give yourself a chance to calm down, to breathe, and to reflect. What are you truly angry about? Is it the situation at hand, or is there something deeper beneath the surface that has triggered this reaction? Often our anger is not just about what is happening in the present moment, but is tied to past experiences, fears, or insecurities that have been festering. By taking a moment of silence, you create space to understand these underlying issues before you speak. In that silence, you gain clarity and prevent yourself from lashing out in ways that only serve to deepen the conflict. The power of silence in moments of anger is also about recognizing the value of timing. Just because you feel something strongly in the moment doesn't mean that now is the right time to express it. There are countless instances in life where waiting to speak, allowing the dust to settle, so to speak, leads to much better outcomes. When emotions are high, the potential for misunderstanding is also high. Words that might be meant one way can easily be misinterpreted, and even the tone in which something is said can escalate a situation beyond what was intended. By staying silent, you give yourself time to consider how best to communicate your feelings when the intensity of the moment has passed. You allow yourself to be heard, not through the lens of anger, but through a more reasoned, thoughtful approach. This isn't to say that silence means you should ignore your feelings or push them aside. In fact, silence can be one of the most effective tools for processing those feelings. When you're silent, you give yourself the opportunity to reflect what is the true source of your anger. Is it something that can be resolved with a conversation, or is it something that needs more time to unravel? Too often, in the heat of anger, we focus on the immediate problem without considering the broader context. By staying silent, you can examine the situation from different angles and gain a deeper understanding of what is really going on. Silence in moments of anger is a sign of emotional maturity. It takes strength to hold back when every fiber of your being wants to react. It takes self-awareness to recognize that the immediate gratification of venting your anger is not worth the potential consequences. By choosing silence, you demonstrate a level of self-control that not only protects your relationships but also allows you to maintain your dignity. You're not allowing yourself to be dragged into a battle of words that leaves everyone feeling worse off. Instead, you are giving yourself the opportunity to approach the situation with compassion and empathy, even if those emotions are not immediately accessible in the heat of the moment. Another important aspect of choosing silence when you're angry is the impact it has on those around you. Anger is contagious. When one person escalates, it often triggers the same reaction in others. But silence can be just as powerful in the opposite direction. When you choose not to engage in a heated exchange, it often forces the other person to reflect on their own behavior. Your silence can act as a mirror, allowing them to see the impact of their words and actions more clearly. In this way, silence becomes a tool for diffusing conflict, not through passive avoidance but through active choice. You are choosing not to contribute to the negativity, and in doing so, you create the possibility for a more constructive dialogue later on. In moments of anger, silence also allows you to protect your peace. When you react in anger, you often give away your power. You allow external circumstances or other people to dictate your emotional state. But when you choose silence, you reclaim that power. You acknowledge that while you may not have control over what others say or do, you do have control over how you respond. This shift in perspective can be incredibly liberating. It frees you from the need to engage in every battle, to prove yourself right, or to have the last word. Instead, you become more focused on maintaining your inner equilibrium, regardless of the chaos that might be unfolding around you. Choosing silence when you are angry also gives you the opportunity to practice forgiveness, both for yourself and for others. In the heat of the moment, it's easy to view the situation in black and white terms: who's right and who's wrong. But silence creates the space for nuance. It allows you to step back and see the situation for what it truly is, rather than what your anger makes it out to be. And in that space, you may find that what you were so angry about wasn't as important as it seemed. You may find that the relationship matters more than winning the argument or proving your point. Silence gives you the time to consider whether holding on to that anger is worth the emotional toll it takes on you. Silence in moments of anger is not about weakness or passivity. It's about strength, wisdom, and self-awareness. It's about recognizing that your words have power, and with that power comes responsibility. In choosing silence, you are not avoiding the issue at hand. You are simply choosing to approach it with care and consideration. You are allowing yourself the time and space to process your emotions before expressing them, ensuring that when you do speak, your words are thoughtful, measured, and aimed at resolution rather than escalation. In a world where we are often encouraged to speak up and speak out, it's important to remember that silence is just as valuable. There are times when the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all, allowing your silence to speak volumes on your behalf. Proceed with a situation where you're unsure or lacking knowledge, the temptation to speak up might still be strong. Often we feel a pressure to have something to say, whether in social situations, meetings, or conversations where we feel compelled to contribute. However, in these moments, silence can be far more valuable than speaking out of uncertainty. It's important to recognize that not knowing is perfectly acceptable, and in fact shows a level of maturity and self-awareness. In these moments, refraining from speaking allows for a much deeper process of listening, learning, and growth. The desire to speak up when unsure often comes from a place of insecurity. We fear that by remaining silent, others will assume we don't know something or think less of us. In a culture where being vocal is often seen as a sign of intelligence and competence, silence can be misunderstood as ignorance. However, it's vital to understand that speaking without a clear understanding of the topic can often do more harm than good. You risk spreading misinformation or giving an opinion that's based on incomplete or inaccurate knowledge, which can not only damage your credibility, but also mislead others. In situations where you lack knowledge, staying silent gives you the chance to listen attentively and absorb new information. Listening is an undervalued skill, yet it's one of the most powerful ways to learn. When you're quiet, you open up the space for others to share their insights, experiences, and expertise. This becomes a learning opportunity, one that you would miss if you were too busy trying to fill the silence with your own words. By listening instead of speaking, you position yourself as a learner, and in the long run, this approach will make you more knowledgeable and better informed. There's also a subtle form of wisdom in admitting that you don't know something. No one knows everything, and pretending otherwise often leads to embarrassing situations. Imagine being in a discussion where a complex topic comes up, and instead of admitting that you're not familiar with it, you offer a vague or incorrect opinion. Not only does this expose your lack of understanding, but it also can erode trust. People value honesty and humility, and admitting that you don't have all the answers can actually earn you more respect than trying to bluff your way through a conversation. It's far better to say, "I'm not sure about that, but I'd love to learn more," than to risk misrepresenting yourself or the topic at hand. Being silent when you lack knowledge also prevents you from making impulsive or uninformed decisions. Speaking too quickly or offering a solution before fully understanding the problem can lead to mistakes that could have been avoided if you had taken the time to gather more information. In both personal and professional contexts, rushing to speak or act without adequate understanding often leads to poor outcomes. Silence, on the other hand, allows you to gather your thoughts, consult with others, or do further research before making a decision. This kind of thoughtful pause can lead to much more informed and effective actions. In group settings, silence can be a powerful tool for allowing others to contribute. Sometimes the best way to add value to a conversation is by giving space for others to share their thoughts. When you're unsure about a topic, staying silent allows more knowledgeable individuals to step forward and share their insights. In this way, silence becomes a form of respect not just for others, but for the conversation as a whole. By not dominating the discussion with opinions that may not be well formed, you're contributing to a more productive and meaningful exchange of ideas. Silence also allows for deeper contemplation. When you don't immediately jump in to speak, you give yourself the chance to think critically about what's being discussed. This kind of reflective silence is often where the most profound insights come from. By staying quiet, you're allowing yourself time to connect the dots, analyze the information being presented, and consider how it aligns with your own understanding. This deeper level of thinking can lead to more thoughtful and insightful contributions when you do decide to speak. In situations where you're unsure, it's also important to recognize that silence doesn't mean inaction. While you may choose to stay silent in the moment, this doesn't mean you aren't engaged. In fact, staying silent often reflects a high level of engagement because it means you're actively listening, absorbing, and reflecting on what's being said. It's in these moments of quiet reflection that true learning occurs. Instead of reacting immediately, you give yourself the opportunity to ask questions, do further research, and expand your understanding of the topic. Silence also protects you from unnecessary conflicts or misunderstandings. When you speak without a full understanding of the subject, you run the risk of making statements that could be misunderstood or that unintentionally offend others. In contrast, staying silent when you're unsure allows you to avoid these pitfalls. It gives you the time to think through your words and ensure that when you do speak, your message is clear, respectful, and aligned with the facts. Silence in this way can act as a safeguard against saying something you might later regret. Another benefit of silence in moments of uncertainty is that it encourages collaboration. When you openly admit that you don't have all the answers, it creates an environment where others feel comfortable contributing their knowledge. This can lead to a more collaborative and inclusive conversation, where the focus is on collective learning rather than individual opinions. By staying silent, you create space for others to share their expertise, which can lead to a more well-rounded and informed discussion. In this way, silence fosters a sense of teamwork and mutual respect, where everyone's input is valued. Silence allows you to cultivate patience. In a world where there's constant pressure to have all the answers and to respond immediately, choosing to stay silent is a powerful act of patience. It's a reminder that not everything needs to be addressed in the moment, and that sometimes the best response is no response at all. Patience allows for deeper understanding, more thoughtful contributions, and ultimately, better outcomes. By staying silent when you're unsure, you're practicing the art of patience, which is an essential skill for both personal and professional growth. When someone else is speaking, silence becomes an act of respect and attentiveness. In today's fast-paced world, conversations are often interrupted or filled with distractions, where people are more focused on what they will say next, rather than truly listening to the person who is speaking. Being silent while another person is talking allows you to be fully present in the moment and to understand their message in its entirety. It's a way of honoring the speaker and showing that you value their words. Silence in this context is more than just the absence of noise. It's a conscious decision to listen with intent, allowing you to engage with the speaker on a deeper level. Listening while someone else is speaking allows you to absorb not just the words being said, but also the emotions, tone, and underlying messages. When you are silent, you are in a better position to pick up on the subtle nuances of communication, such as body language, facial expressions, and pauses in speech. These non-verbal cues are often as important as the words themselves, and they help to give you a fuller understanding of what the speaker is really trying to convey. In many cases, the emotional undertones of a conversation can be missed when we're too focused on our own response. Silence, however, opens the door to greater empathy and emotional intelligence, allowing you to grasp the deeper layers of meaning in what is being communicated. Staying silent while someone else is speaking prevents you from jumping to conclusions or making assumptions. Too often people listen with the intent to respond rather than to understand. This can lead to misunderstandings, as we may cut the speaker off before they have fully expressed themselves. When you remain quiet, you allow the other person the time and space to fully articulate their thoughts without feeling rushed or interrupted. This can lead to more meaningful and productive conversations where both parties feel heard and understood. When someone is speaking, they deserve your undivided attention, and silence is one of the most powerful ways to show that you are giving it to them. Being silent also fosters better communication because it creates a more balanced exchange of ideas. In conversations where one person dominates the dialogue, there is little room for others to contribute or feel that their voice is valued. By being silent while someone else is speaking, you are encouraging a more equitable conversation where both parties have the opportunity to share their thoughts and ideas. This balance is especially important in professional settings or collaborative environments, where effective communication relies on everyone having the chance to contribute. Silence in this way is a tool that promotes fairness and inclusivity in conversations. In personal relationships, remaining silent while someone else is speaking demonstrates emotional support. When a friend or loved one is opening up about their feelings, staying silent allows you to create a safe space for them to express themselves. Sometimes, when people are sharing something personal or difficult, they don't need advice or solutions, they just need someone to listen. Silence in this context is a way of offering emotional presence without the pressure of having to respond or fix the situation. It allows the other person to feel validated and supported, simply by knowing that you are there to listen. Silence also helps to build trust in relationships. When you listen attentively and without interruption, you show the other person that you respect their perspective and are genuinely interested in what they have to say. This builds a foundation of trust, as the speaker feels that they can rely on you to give them the space to express themselves without fear of being cut off or dismissed. Over time, this kind of attentive listening can strengthen relationships, as it fosters a deeper sense of connection and understanding. Silence becomes a form of communication in itself, one that says, "I am here for you, and I value what you have to share." Another benefit of being silent while someone else is speaking is that it helps you to develop greater self-awareness. When you're not focused on preparing your own response, you can reflect on how the speaker's words are affecting you. Are you feeling defensive, curious, inspired? Silence gives you the time to process your own thoughts and emotions without reacting impulsively. This self-awareness is crucial for maintaining healthy communication, as it allows you to respond in a way that is thoughtful and measured, rather than driven by immediate emotions. Silence in this way becomes a tool for personal growth, helping you to become a more mindful and considerate communicator. In moments of silence, you also give yourself the opportunity to ask better questions. When you listen carefully to what the other person is saying, you can follow up with questions that are more insightful and relevant to the conversation. This not only deepens the discussion, but also shows the speaker that you were truly engaged in what they were saying. Asking thoughtful questions is a sign of active listening, and it encourages a more meaningful dialogue where both parties can explore the topic more fully. Silence, therefore, is not just about refraining from speaking, it's about using that time to listen actively and prepare for a more engaged conversation. In professional settings, being silent while others are speaking can lead to better decision-making. In meetings or group discussions, staying quiet allows you to hear all the perspectives being shared before forming your own opinion. Rushing to speak before fully understanding the issue can lead to hasty or uninformed decisions. By being silent, you give yourself the chance to gather more information, weigh different viewpoints, and consider the implications of what's being discussed. This leads to more thoughtful and well-rounded contributions when you do decide to speak. Silence in this way becomes a key component of strategic thinking and problem solving. Silence during conversations can prevent unnecessary conflicts. When emotions run high or disagreements arise, people often feel compelled to defend their position or argue their point of view. However, speaking out of emotion can escalate the situation and lead to more tension. By staying silent. Especially in the heat of the moment, you give yourself the chance to calm down and think more clearly before responding. This can prevent misunderstandings and help to de-escalate conflicts before they spiral out of control. Silence in these situations is a form of restraint that allows for more constructive and respectful communication. Silence creates a sense of calm and focus in conversations. When there are too many voices competing for attention, it can lead to confusion and a lack of clarity. By staying silent, you contribute to a more focused and coherent conversation, where each person has the opportunity to speak and be heard. This kind of focused communication is especially important in situations where complex issues are being discussed, as it allows for a more organized and productive exchange of ideas. Silence in this way helps to maintain the flow of conversation, ensuring that it remains meaningful and on track. Silence also allows you to observe the dynamics of the conversation more clearly. When you're not speaking, you can pay attention to how others are interacting, how different ideas are being received, and how the conversation is evolving. This kind of observation can give you valuable insights into the underlying dynamics of the group, such as who holds influence, who is being left out, or how the conversation is shifting in tone. These observations can help you to navigate the conversation more effectively when you do decide to speak. Silence, in this sense, becomes a tool for gathering information that can enhance your understanding of the situation. In many cultures, silence is also seen as a sign of wisdom. People who speak less and listen more are often viewed as thoughtful and intelligent, because they take the time to consider their words carefully before speaking. This kind of measured communication earns respect, as it shows that you are not speaking just for the sake of being heard, but because you have something valuable to contribute. Silence, therefore, can enhance your reputation as someone who listens carefully and speaks with intention. It's a powerful way to demonstrate that you are not driven by ego or the need to dominate the conversation, but by a genuine desire to understand and engage meaningfully. By being silent while someone else is speaking, you also create space for deeper connection. When both parties feel heard and understood, the conversation becomes more than just an exchange of words. It becomes an opportunity for connection and shared understanding. Silence allows you to connect with the other person on a more emotional and intellectual level, as you are fully present and engaged in what they are saying. This kind of connection is what makes conversations truly meaningful, and it's something that can only happen when both parties are committed to listening as much as they are to speaking. Silence while someone else is speaking can transform the quality of the conversation itself. When you listen deeply and without interruption, you encourage the other person to share more openly and honestly. They feel safe in the knowledge that they won't be cut off or misunderstood, which allows for a more authentic and vulnerable exchange of ideas. Silence in this way becomes a gift that you offer to the speaker, one that creates the conditions for a deeper and more meaningful dialogue. It's in these moments of silence that true understanding and connection are born. Let's explore how these 5 points intersect to create a cohesive and powerful philosophy for navigating life's challenges. When you're angry or emotional, silence acts as a buffer between your emotions and your actions. Anger and heightened emotions cloud judgment, leading to words and actions that are often regretted later. In these moments, staying silent allows you to cool down, gain perspective, and approach the situation with a calm mind. This pause is critical because it prevents rash decisions and hurtful words that can damage relationships, reputations, and even your self-image. By choosing silence, you are not suppressing your feelings, but rather giving yourself the space to process them in a healthy, constructive way. It allows for self-reflection, which can lead to better understanding of the root cause of your emotions, making it easier to resolve conflicts without escalating them. In the broader context of life, knowing when to remain silent during emotional upheavals is an invaluable skill. Emotions are powerful, but they are also fleeting. By not reacting immediately, you gain the upper hand over temporary feelings, allowing you to act in a way that aligns with your long-term values and goals. This mastery of silence during emotional storms translates to greater emotional intelligence, which in turn enhances personal and professional relationships. People who can maintain composure in emotionally charged situations are often seen as more reliable, trustworthy and wise. When you are unsure or lacking knowledge, silence becomes a tool of humility and learning. It's natural to want to participate in conversations, especially when opinions and ideas are being exchanged. However, speaking without sufficient knowledge can lead to misinformation, misunderstanding, and a loss of credibility. In such moments, silence allows you to listen, absorb information, and learn. It's an opportunity to expand your understanding by paying attention to those who may know more about the topic at hand. By staying silent, you demonstrate respect for the knowledge of others and position yourself as a learner, which can open doors to new insights and opportunities for growth. Silence in the face of uncertainty also protects you from making premature judgments or decisions. When you acknowledge that you don't know something and choose to remain silent until you have more information, you are safeguarding yourself from potential mistakes. This is particularly important in professional settings, where decisions based on incomplete knowledge can have serious consequences. Silence gives you the time to gather facts, reflect on different perspectives, and make informed choices. It also fosters an environment of curiosity and openness, where asking questions and seeking clarity is valued more than pretending to have all the answers. Another crucial moment for silence is when someone else is speaking. Listening is an underrated skill, and in today's fast-paced world, many people are more focused on what they want to say next, rather than truly hearing what the other person is communicating. Silence in this context is a sign of respect. It shows that you value the other person's words and are willing to give them the space to express themselves fully. By being silent when someone else is speaking, you not only enhance the quality of the conversation, but also deepen your understanding of the person's point of view. This leads to more meaningful connections and stronger relationships, both personally and professionally. In communication, silence also serves as a tool for gathering information beyond the words being spoken. When you remain quiet, you have the opportunity to observe body language, tone, and other nonverbal cues that can provide deeper insights into the speaker's intentions, emotions, and thoughts. This holistic approach to listening allows for better comprehension and empathy, which are key components of effective communication. Silence here is not just about refraining from speaking, it's about being fully present and engaged in the moment. When you're being provoked, silence is a form of strength. Provocation often aims to elicit a reaction, to throw you off balance, and to undermine your composure. In such situations, responding with silence disarms the provoker. It denies them the satisfaction of seeing you react impulsively, and it keeps you in control of the situation. Silence gives you time to assess the provocation, determine its intent, and decide whether or not it warrants a response. Often the best response is no response at all, as reacting can escalate the situation unnecessarily and give power to the provoker. Silence in the face of provocation also communicates a certain level of maturity and self-control. It sends a message that you are not easily rattled and that you won't be drawn into unnecessary conflict. This can be particularly important in professional environments, where maintaining your composure is key to preserving your reputation and advancing your career. It's also valuable in personal relationships, where provocation can sometimes be a test of emotional boundaries. By choosing silence, you maintain those boundaries and protect your peace of mind. Finally, when you're planning or strategizing, silence becomes your sanctuary for deep thinking. In moments of planning, whether for personal goals or professional projects, silence allows you to focus, to gather your thoughts, and to make thoughtful decisions. It's in these moments of quiet reflection that you can see the bigger picture, anticipate challenges, and devise solutions. Silence gives you the mental space to think creatively and strategically, without the noise of external opinions or distractions. It's a time for introspection, where you can clarify your objectives, assess your resources, and chart a course of action that aligns with your long-term vision. In competitive or high-stakes environments, silence during the planning phase can also provide a tactical advantage. By keeping your thoughts to yourself until the plan is fully formed, you prevent others from interfering with or undermining your strategy. Silence in this context is a form of protection, ensuring that your plans remain under your control until you're ready to execute them. It allows you to remain unpredictable, which can be a powerful asset in any competitive scenario. Silence across these 5 key situations is not a passive state, but an active and intentional choice that empowers you in multiple dimensions of life. It enables emotional regulation, fosters learning, enhances communication, strengthens self-control, and nurtures deep strategic thinking. Silence, when used wisely, becomes a source of inner strength and clarity, guiding you through life's challenges with grace, wisdom, and composure. By embracing silence in these moments, you position yourself for greater success, peace, and fulfillment in both your personal and professional life.
When you speak to the universe with the understanding of your true nature, a profound shift begins. It's not merely about saying words or setting intentions, it's about realizing that you are part of a grand design, a design in which every thought, every feeling, and every belief shapes reality itself. When you talk to the universe, you're not speaking to something outside yourself. You're speaking to the power within, the infinite presence that listens to you as it resides within you. Imagine for a moment that every thought you think, every desire you hold, is like a seed planted in the fertile soil of the universe. These seeds, however small they seem, carry within the potential to reshape your world. But just like seeds, they need to be nourished by the right conditions. If you want to see a shift, you must nurture these intentions with unwavering faith, with conviction that they will come to pass. You must feel the truth of your desires as if they have already unfolded, for the universe responds to the language of feeling and belief. When you communicate with the universe, you are not pleading or hoping, it is as if you are calling forth that which is already yours. The universe operates on the law of assumption. Whatever you assume to be true, it reflects. This law doesn't differentiate between what you deeply desire and what you fear, it simply brings into form the thoughts you consistently dwell upon. So speak to the universe with the certainty that what you desire is already yours. You speak as if it is already manifested, as if every word is the declaration of a present truth, for in truth it is. The shift starts to happen when you realize that your role is not to fight or chase after things, but to align yourself with the feeling of already having them. Imagine yourself in the life you wish to live, in the joy and freedom of already experiencing your dreams. You feel that sense of peace, that sense of fulfillment. That feeling, that certainty within, is the signal you send out. And as you hold to this inner vision, the universe begins to rearrange itself to reflect it. People, events, and opportunities are drawn into your path, not by force, but by the magnetic power of your alignment. Remember, the universe does not operate in time as we understand it. The moment you speak to it with clarity and belief, it begins to work on your behalf, even if you cannot yet see the results. Trust in this invisible shift, for what you desire is already in motion. Your only task is to stay aligned with it, to nurture it with faith, and to expect it as though it were already here. The universe is always listening, always ready to respond to the truth you declare within. When you talk to the universe, you're not simply throwing wishes into the void, hoping something catches. You're engaging in a dialogue with a force that's inherently connected to you. The universe doesn't operate outside you, and is not separate from you. It exists within you, responding to your innermost beliefs and expectations. This is why the shift only begins when you talk to the universe correctly. It's not about merely asking for what you want, but about realizing that what you ask for, you already possess in some way. Every thought and every feeling you nurture is like a ripple in the cosmic sea, and the universe is constantly adjusting to match the frequency you emit. Now understand this: when you talk to the universe, you're not speaking to some far-off deity or an indifferent cosmos. You're speaking to your own awareness, to the spark of the divine within. Your thoughts and beliefs are the molds into which reality is poured. In truth, the universe is like a mirror, reflecting back the assumptions you hold. If you assume abundance, you will see abundance. If you assume lack, lack will manifest before you. The secret lies in the conviction behind your words, in the way you believe so deeply in the reality of your desires that the universe has no choice but to bring them into form. Consider the incredible power of assumption. When you speak to the universe with a clear heart and a steady mind, you are setting into motion forces that will reshape your reality. but you must be unwavering. Doubt is the great dissolver of dreams. The moment you allow doubt to creep in, you dilute the power of your words. You cannot talk to the universe with one foot in faith and the other in fear. You must be resolute. Just as a seed, when planted, needs consistent warmth and moisture to grow, your desires need the warmth of belief and the nourishment of certainty. Only then will they break through the surface of your life, manifesting as experiences, relationships, and opportunities. Imagine that the universe is an infinite pool of energy, waiting to be molded by your consciousness. This energy is neutral, like clay, and will take any shape that your mind impresses upon it. By talking to the universe in a way that aligns with your true desires, you're impressing the mold of your desired life onto this energy. And when you do this consistently with clarity and intent, this energy begins to take shape. It starts to crystallize into the things and experiences you wish to have. But remember, this process requires patience and persistence. Just as a sculpture is not created with a single strike, your reality is not shaped by a single thought. It is the consistent chisel of belief and feeling that brings your desires into form. Think of your thoughts as magnets, each one drawing to you experiences that match its frequency. When you approach the universe with an attitude of gratitude, abundance, and trust, you're effectively tuning into a higher frequency. You're speaking the language of the universe, a language that doesn't respond to words alone, but to feelings and beliefs. The universe doesn't hear what you say, it feels what you mean. This is why speaking to the universe correctly means embodying the feeling of already having what you desire. It's about feeling the joy, the peace, the fulfillment that would come if your dreams were already realized. And when you do this, the universe has no choice but to mirror these feelings back to you as real experiences. Now, many people wonder why their desires don't manifest despite their best efforts. They speak to the universe, yet they feel nothing shift. This is because they are asking from a place of lack. They say, I want this, but the underlying feeling is I don't have it. The universe, like an echo, simply reflects back this state of lack. To talk to the universe correctly, you must feel as though you already possess what you desire. Your words should be statements of gratitude, not of yearning. You say thank you for this blessing, as if it's already part of your life. Rather than I wish I had this, when your words align with the feeling of already having, the shift begins. As you learn to talk to the universe in this way, you'll notice subtle changes. Perhaps you'll feel a lightness in your heart, a quiet sense of peace, or a certainty that you can't quite explain. These are the first signs that the shift is occurring. They're small but significant indications that your inner world is beginning to harmonize with your desires. And as this harmony strengthens, the outer world will begin to align as well. People, circumstances, and events will begin to rearrange themselves to match the new frequency you're radiating. It may not happen overnight, but it will happen. The universe is both patient and precise, and it will bring everything to you in perfect timing. Every word you speak to the universe is like a seed you plant in the soil of consciousness. You must water it with faith, nourish it with gratitude, and protect it from the weeds of doubt and fear. Your thoughts and feelings act as the sun and rain that nurture this seed until it grows into a manifestation in your life. But you must be diligent. If you allow negative thoughts or doubts to linger, they will choke the growth of your desires, just as weeds choke the growth of a young plant. To talk to the universe correctly, you must guard your mind vigilantly, nurturing only those thoughts that align with the life you wish to create. When you truly understand this, you'll realize that you're never asking for anything outside of yourself. You're merely drawing out what already exists within. The universe is not a distant force that grants or denies your wishes. It is a reflection of your innermost self. When you speak to it with clarity, conviction, and love, you're not trying to change the outer world, you're transforming your inner state, and the outer world responds in kind. This is why the shift is not something that happens to you, it is something that happens within you. Picture this shift as a gentle awakening. It's as if a dormant part of you is beginning to stir, a part that knows without doubt that you are one with all creation. This part of you doesn't question whether your desires will come to pass, it knows they already have. This is the essence of faith, not a blind hope, but a deep inner knowing that transcends circumstances. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. When you speak to the universe with this kind of faith, you are not merely asking, you are commanding. You are calling forth that which is already yours in spirit. As you cultivate this awareness, you'll begin to notice that talking to the universe becomes as natural as breathing. You won't need to strain or struggle to make your desires known. You'll simply align with them in thought, word, and feeling, and they will flow to you effortlessly. This is the power of living in harmony with the universe. It's not about forcing outcomes or manipulating circumstances. It's about embodying the truth of who you are and allowing that truth to manifest in the physical world. The universe is a perfect reflection of your inner state, and when you talk to it from a place of peace and abundance, it will bring you peace and abundance in return. The beauty of this process is that it frees you from the need to control or predict how things will unfold. You don't have to know the exact path your desires will take to reach you. You simply need to trust that they will. This trust is like a beacon, guiding the universe to bring your desires to you in ways that are beyond your imagination. When you surrender the need for control, you'll open yourself to receive blessings that are greater than anything you could have planned. The universe is always conspiring in your favor, working behind the scenes to align the perfect circumstances, the right people, and the ideal opportunities. All you need to do is stay in alignment with the feeling of already having your desires, and the rest will fall into place. Remember that talking to the universe correctly means aligning not just in words, but in your whole being. It's a state of total acceptance, where you let go of resistance, worry, and fear. You step into a space of pure trust, knowing that everything is unfolding perfectly. In this space, there is no room for doubt, because you're no longer operating from a place of lack or limitation. You're operating from a place of oneness, a place where you and the universe are one and the same. And from this place, all things are possible. When you reach this level of understanding, you'll find that your desires are no longer about filling a void or proving something to yourself or others. They become expressions of your true essence, reflections of the joy, love, and abundance that already exist within you. Talking to the universe becomes an act of creation, not of need. You're no longer asking for things to complete you, you're calling forth experiences that enhance the wholeness you already feel. This is the essence of true manifestation, where desires flow naturally from a heart that is already full. So speak to the universe with love, with gratitude, and with the knowing that you are worthy of all you desire. Trust that every word, every thought, and every feeling is a brushstroke in the masterpiece of your life. And as you do, you'll find that the shift you seek is not something that happens to you, it's something that unfolds within you, effortlessly, gracefully, and in perfect harmony with the universe itself. As you continue to speak with the universe, realize that this dialogue is the purest form of creation. When you align your inner world, it is as if you're aligning with the very rhythm of life itself, stepping into the flow of divine order. Each word, each intention holds within it a vibration that communicates with this vast intelligence, this unseen force that effortlessly arranges all things to bring about the fulfillment of your desires. The more you commit to this process, the more you will see the profound truth the universe responds to what you are, not just what you say. This means your energy must embody what you wish to experience. If peace is what you desire, cultivate peace within. If you yearn for abundance, adopt an abundant mindset. This is not a superficial exercise, but a deep-rooted change in how you view yourself and the world. To speak to the universe effectively, you must become the vibrational match to your desires.